All right, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Investors Discovery Day live stream. We've got an exciting day for you here today. We're starting off today with a company which, again, this could be our next 10 bagger. You know, we're looking for those stocks. We bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. NG Energy has some incredible people involved. I think the key thing when you're looking at these microcap stocks is who are the people? We'll talk about some of them, but Serafino, the CEO, the last energy company who was involved with, I'll let Serafino give us the story, but I think you guys are going to like it. So with that said, NG Energy GASX, let me just put up the banner over here. Serafino, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So Serafino, I want to kind of start off with, our audience, again, they're looking for those, stocks which have that big upside potential. So what they want to know is, what is NG Energy all about? Like you're operating in Colombia, you're in natural gas. Why Colombia? Why natural gas? What's this big opportunity? Because your team is, you got some heavy hitters there. Why are you guys so excited about this opportunity?
Sure. Let's start for the three main reasons of us being in the space that we're in. We are in a transitional world that it's coming in right now, where I think natural gas is going to play the main role in producing electricity in this world. Everybody's talking about going electric. Everybody's talking about a way of changing things. Oil is bad, coal is bad, nuclear is bad, hydro is bad because it destroys the environment. Everybody's talking about solar, everybody talking about wind, but I can give you the most important number. The largest user of solar and wind energy in the world is one of the Nordic countries, and only 5% of its energy is produced from the solar or from wind. That is the reality. The reality is that for you to have a 100 megawatt power plant, you need 500 acres of land to be around. So it's going to reach a point. The world is not going to be covered by mirrors, or it's not going to be covered by windmills. The reality is that you're going to be looking for the cleanest energy possible. And although I believe that coal is going to start declining very much, because that's the reality, and nuclear might get its moment, the reality is that the immediate winner for all of this thing is natural gas, because it's the cleanest way to produce electricity. And the world needs electricity.
Especially with all everybody is saying, hey, we're going electric, Tesla, all the e-vehicles, everything else. So, where's the energy going to come from? Great thing. So what brings you to Colombia? Why this project that you have? And what's the upside?
Correct. The second point, Colombia. Colombia right now is, it's actually starting to become a net importer of natural gas. It's got fantastic natural resources. It's got a tremendous potential. It produces 700,000 barrels of oil a day. So it's a country, it's an oil country, okay? The problem is that for the last 20 years, everybody concentrated their efforts in producing oil because oil was the pretty girl. Natural gas was a necessity. Natural gas got two problems. You need large quantity for exporting, and you need infrastructure for exporting. So you need gasification, it becomes very local, and it becomes for local use. The thing is that the use of natural gas in Colombia has gone up tremendously. Colombia uses 1 TCF of gas a day. That's 1 trillion cubic feet of gas a day for consumption. We got 7 years worth of reserves. And we are starting to import natural gas now from the US and from Trinidad into Colombia at a price. By the time you put it into, you take it from the US, you put it on, you compress it, you liquefy it, you put it on a ship, you transport it, you decompress it, and you sell it in the local market. It's $8 to $10 per million BTUs. The gas in Colombia right now gets sold at about, local gas gets sold between $5 and $7 per BTU. So it's still a very inexpensive proposition. What makes it exciting is that the cost of producing in Colombia, because it's very shallow gas and very good infrastructure for transporting for internal, our cost of producing 1,000,000 BTUs of gas, it's between 90 cents and $1.50 per million BTUs. So your profits compared to oil are 10 times more than you will make. A net back for a barrel of oil might be, even at $60, might be $15 per barrel, okay? Equivalent of gas per barrel, your net back are $30, okay? So that's a big difference.
Okay, so basically you're making basically 3 times your money with natural gas.
Totally. And
Okay.
we are a favorite client of all the utility companies. And not only is the utility companies that need the natural gas in the country, because Colombia has a problem with, they build an hydroelectric plant that failed. That happens sometimes with these projects. And they have a shortage of 1,500 megawatts of energy that now they have to make it up, and it's going to be made up by natural gas because it's the quickest thing. So there is power plants that are being built in the country. But the most important thing that there is, Colombia is a country of 50 million people. 10 years ago, only 7% of the population had natural gas for home usage. Today, it's 30% of the population uses natural gas for heat, for heating water, for kitchens, for cooking, and for industrial use. So every year it goes up. And before it used to be cities of 100,000 or more. Now they're down to 50,000. And in 10 years, it's going to be every part of Colombia that has a possibility of being hooked up to natural gas is going to be hooked up to natural gas, also to comply with the green emission.
Okay. So yeah, the Colombian economy, the market is doing pretty well, right? I mean, there's a good economy, booming economy, right?
Colombia is fantastic. It's probably one of the best economies in Latin America. AA rated by Fitch and by Moody. Never defaulted on any loans. It's got a very strong economic backing. It grows at a rate of average 4%, 4% a year, which is a decent thing, especially in this world that we live in. It's a producer of a lot of natural products. It's gone into the gold business big time. It was the third largest producer of coal in the world at one point. Still produces 120 million tons a year of coal. But they want to shift. It's also a country that is very conscious of becoming up with the world, of this world that we got to live in, and we got to worry about global warming. So natural gas, I go back and saying that it's going to be the key element, especially for countries that either they import it or they find an alternative way to produce electricity to satisfy the growth of the country.
Okay. And okay, so let's talk about what you have right now. What are your projects? Are these generating revenue right now? What do you have in the pipeline? Like what's the
We have three main projects. In Argentina, we had some project. We divested and we decided that we were going to become a gas producer, and a gas producer in Colombia. The three projects that we have in Colombia, we have a greenfield project, which is called Tiburon. I'll talk at the end about it. Maria Conchita, which is going to be going into production in the next 2 months, start going to generating revenues. And CNO9, which is our star concession, and probably one of the biggest, it's probably going to be one of the biggest fields in Colombia in the last 10 years of discovery after the Canacol fields. So I'll start with Maria Conchita, which is our near production. Maria Conchita is a concession right next to the largest producer that produces 60% of the natural gas in the country, that is called Ballena. The Ballena property belongs to Ecopetrol now. It sits in the northern part of Colombia. 2 years ago, the old management of this company drilled a well. It was drilled, unfortunately, it wasn't drilled properly. We're going to go back in the next few weeks. We're going to re-drill it and put it into production. But in the meantime that I took over the company a year and a half ago, we went into Maria Conchita and started looking at the past history of this thing and what was drilled in the past. This concession had 5 wells that were drilled in the 1980s and 90s. The first well that was drilled in the 1980s was drilled by Texaco. Texaco drilled the well. In the 1980s, you finding natural gas and not finding oil, it was the quickest way that you would get fired by a company. Nobody was looking for natural gas, for the mobility. What do you do with natural gas? You got to build pipelines, you got to build areas. So Texaco drilled, they hit 10 million cubic feet of gas. They went to drill a second well. They hit 5 million cubic feet of gas. This is Tinca, which is the second well that they did. Then they did Arruchara 2. They drilled it. It hit gas. And by the time they started finishing all the wells, they said, it's a gas field. We're shutting it down. Let's move on. So that's what they did. But what's left over from the past in the natural resource business becomes the treasure in the future. And we went and drilled Arruchara well. We reopened it. We cleaned it up, the original well. We tested it. And the well, instead of giving us 10 million cubic feet, because there were some areas that were closed, so we took advantage to open up some of these areas, we got 35 million cubic feet of gas instead of 10 million a day. That gave us 35 BCF of gas. That's 35 billion cubic feet of gas out of one well. To put it in very simple terms and number, when you drill this kind of well, one well, this well is going to be produced at about 20 million cubic feet of gas a day. We get paid $5.08 per million BTUs. Our cost of producing this well is about $1.50. It's $1.50, 55, but it's $1.50 right now. Depends what the pesos is, because we're also in pesos. So $1.50. So our net back on this thing is $3.50 before royalty and before taxes.
Okay. So Serafino, my hand is not working with the I can't do the math here. How much is this going to make a day for you?
This thing's going to make about $90,000 a day.
Okay, $90,000. Okay, so times 30 days, you got almost $2.5 million a year.
Well, it's more like 35 million. It's more like $35 million a year.
Yeah, $2.5 million a month roughly. So it's okay. So and that's profit basically. That's the net.
Yeah, and that's one well.
Okay. So we got 35 million a year. Basically, this is to the bottom line.
Correct.
Okay.
Before taxes and before royalty.
Okay, and the G&A, right?
G&A is very small. We're a very lean and mean organization. Our G&A is less than $1 million a year.
Okay. So 35 million. That's one well. Yeah. What else do you have?
Well, we're going to be drilling 6. We're going to be drilling 6 wells out of this thing. Potentially, what we have in resources, what they call P50, it's between 100 and 200 billion BCFs of gas, billion cubic feet of gas. That is a 15-year potential producer, 15 to 20-year potential producer, giving you revenues of about $70 million a year. Okay. Out of the field.
Okay. So 70. Okay. So in total, so you get the first. Okay. So the first one, there's some Maria Conchita that's going into production now, right?
Well, Maria Conchita is going to go. It did one well, the Arruchara. Okay. Next week we start drilling a second well that is called Istanbul. The Istanbul well gave us gas. At the end of September, we're going to drill the third well. That's going to take our production from 20 million cubic feet of gas a day to 35 million cubic feet of gas a day, which means that our revenue will go up to that point. And as we go to the following year, we're going to take the production, the optimal way to take out this natural gas is somewhere around 40, 50 million cubic feet of gas a day. So
Okay.
what does it mean for us?
Yeah.
This is our cost of producing. It's very little. Our lifting cost is 25 to 30 cents per million BTU. The rest is transport. It's sales contracts that you got to have with the distributor of the gas. But the reality of our project is that in Maria Conchita, all the gas that I produce, I can sell it tomorrow. I can pre-sell it for the next 20 years without any problem. And the people that are buying the gas from us are major producers of electricity and major buyer gas and blue chip companies. One, it's called Electricity of Medellin, which is the second largest company in the country. The other is electricity of Unión Fenosa, which is a fantastic. It's owned by NL Power, so it's a big company.
Okay. Okay. So this is pretty impressive. Okay, so in terms of run rate, you're gonna exit 2021 with what kind of run rate? Assuming everything gets into
2021 is going to be only 6 months. Okay, we're probably going to start doing about 12 to 15 million this year.
Okay.
In revenues. Now we have all the infrastructure financed. The well has been financed. The second well's got fully financed. We just raised $9 million. That's going to go mostly to develop the CNO9, which is the next concession that I want to talk to you about.
Okay. So yes, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Tiburon project and all that.
Yeah, Tiburon is easy to talk about. It's a mega concession. Potentially has 2 to 3 TCFs, trillion cubic feet of gas, but it's an early exploration concession. It's got the right address. It sits in the right place. It's surrounded by 3 of the major gas discoveries in the northern part of South America. Perla, the 2 of the projects that belong to Ecopetrol and Exxon. Orca, that it's called Orca. These are 10 TCF to 20 TCFs of natural gas, so the big monster. This is going to be a story for the next 2 years. Our big story is Maria Conchita and CNO9. CNO9, we're probably going to start drilling sometime around May. Now, CNO9 is a concession also that was drilled in the 1990s. Same kind of thing, discovery of natural gas. It sits right next to Canacol. Canacol is the largest producer right now, private producer of natural gas in the country. It produces 200 million cubic feet of gas a day. It's $1 billion company. We are literally share border of our deposit with theirs. It was drilled in the 90s. They found natural gas. It belonged to a Mexican group. I bought it from a Mexican group 5 years ago. It has now become the star. We've done a lot of work, a lot of studies, independent studies. Potentially, it's got a TCF of gas, so between 700 million cubic feet of gas and a TCF of gas. That means that if we take it, we're going to be drilling 6 wells in the next 2 years. They're fully financed. Discovery rate, it's 99%. We already have a discovery, and we have a producing well that is capped.
So basically, it's like a done deal. So in other words, it's essentially at this point.
It's development. It's development.
Okay. Okay. Now this is very exciting. I kind of want to talk a little bit about, kind of your background, some of the key members of the team. I mean, you got Frank Giustra, who's a big investor. You got you. You've had your chairman. You guys have had some major winners in the energy space. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, my background is in oil and in mining, mostly mining and then oil. And as I got older, we've been involved in the mining business for 40 years. I know Frank that long, believe it or not, since the 1980s. We've done many businesses and developed many projects in the past. It is, as far as oil, that we want to talk about oil, I was the founder and developer of one of the major oil companies in Colombia, which was Pacific Rubiales. I founded that company with $35 million in investments. We took it to be a $14 billion company. A lot of people, a lot of our investors made money. Stock went from 35 cents over 3 years to $27, $29, I think was the highest that it went per share. Paid $7 billion worth of dividends over 5 years. And it was a success story. Unfortunately, it went through a bad time when oil prices went down to $25, like many companies went through suffering. But right now, it's still a live company. It's called Frontera Energy, and it's, you know, it still produces oil. Not as much as we used to.
Okay, but Serafino, the main thing is this. Here's I think the key takeaway. Okay, so I always believe that these things, like, it's very important. If somebody did it once before, they could do it again. So if you had something that went from 35 cents, right?
Yep.
The stock started at 35 cents, it went to $27 in 3 years. That's actually, this is what we're looking for in our program. This is our motto: 100 baggers.
Well, it's, look,
You
all
almost
these projects.
So this one you got to do. The GASX has to be the 100 bagger now.
Well, GASX, the company, Maria Conchita is the company cash flow. CNO9 is the 100 bagger that you're talking about. CNO9 is going to take us to 200 million cubic feet of gas a day, which, when you look at it, at $5, that's $1 million a day in revenue. Okay, it's $1 million a day.
300 million. So basically, $365 million dollars a year.
Yeah.
Right? How much of that to the bottom?
Bottom. I'm talking about bottom, because
Bottom
the cost
line.
of producing, cost of taking out the cost of producing. The gas in that area sells at about $7. I urge your subscribers to look at a company called Canacol, which I'm very impressed. It's an impressive company. They were the first one that started understanding that natural gas was going to be the key in the markets. And they were a company that they had $150 million market cap 5 years ago to $1 billion these days. And their revenue is exactly that, about $350, $400 million a year right now. We're going to be a carbon copy of that company.
Okay. Okay. So that's very important. You basically have like a model to duplicate, to copy.
It's people that look at our website, they're going to see, the first thing they're going to see, that we're right next to Canacol. And we're in the upper side of the structure. So we're going to have the same kind of life.
Okay. What's the market cap right now of NG? How many shares are fully diluted?
It's about 110 million shares. Market cap, it's about 160 million. We have about 15 million in cash. Our G&A is very, very small. We're a lean, mean organization. We have 6 people working for us.
Okay.
And we run everything.
That's pretty lean and mean for an energy company.
Well, it's because the world has changed. And the way you got to do things right now, instead of me having 6 geologists or engineers, I'd rather have a couple of key people in my organization. And if I need somebody to do work, I hire them. I let them do the work, and see you next time. That's the way you got to run company. At this point, look, one of the things that I was telling you before, in life, you got to have 2 things. And I always say this because it's my motto: know how and know who. The know-how is the most important thing, but the know-who is just as important. So you got to have the know-how, because you got to know how to spend your money, how to control your money, and how to know that you're working for shareholders, and you got to make money for shareholders. The know-who is important in countries, especially when you work in Latin America. You don't see me do business in Africa or Asia or Australia. I do businesses in country where I have the know-how and the know-who. So Colombia, I live there, I work there. That's where I do my business. That's where my family is, and that's where I go. And every single morning I get up and I know what's going on internally, politically, and internally that makes my company more efficient. And I don't run my companies out of Vancouver or out of Australia. And nothing wrong with doing that, by the way, but that's not my style.
I mean, you're on the ground basically.
Always.
Well, okay. This is a real operation. Okay, pretty impressive. Okay, so essentially you got 150 million market cap approximately. What's going to be the path for this to be, let's call it for now, a 10x, 10 bagger? What needs to happen in the next? Is there a runway?
What needs to happen is you're going to see some paths in going around. I'm going to stop for a second, please, because I'm going to run out of battery, and that's
okay. We're looking at this. You're painting.
I apologize.
No, it'll give us a better view of the Botero.
Hold on a second, bud. Here we go. I apologize, but this modern technology.
This is part. Serafino, this is part of why people tune in. They're tuning in for the entertainment. Also, it's part of the.
It's part of the entertainment, no?
You never know what happens when it's live. Okay, so just if you could, just the cap, just a little bit up, like that. Okay.
I apologize.
Okay.
But it's either that or I ran out of battery.
Okay. So now
you were asking me what's going to be the things that are going to change everything.
What's the path for this?
The path is very
$10
simple.
stock, $15.
Production, cash flow. And what is my goal of this company? This company in 2 years, I want it to be a dividend producing company. This company's got to pay a dividend because we're going to make a lot of cash. So the next 3 steps that market has to look at. Number one, we're going to be drilling the Istanbul well. Istanbul potentially could give us the same surprise that we had in the Arrochata well, where we're going to be producing 20 million cubic feet of gas a day. So path number one, we're going to drill that well, which is going to increase reserves. Path number 2, we're building the infrastructure, which is a 14-kilometer pipeline and the infrastructure to hook up and start producing the gas. You got to clean the gas. You got to take out the liquids and so on. So that's going to be done in the next 60 days. We're fully financed. We don't need any money from anybody to do that. After that, we're going to start producing. And as soon as we start drilling CNO9, watch out, because the moment that we hit CNO9, it's all over. CNO9 is going to be the company maker. And that's going to make this company not a little junior startup company. It's going to make us into a mid-sized producer of natural gas. It's going to make us the second largest producer in Colombia.
And when does that go into production? The CNO9 again?
CNO9, we're going to drill it in April.
Okay, and production when?
Production probably by the end of, by the time we build the infrastructure and everything's going to be September.
Okay, but this, I think once the drilling starts, so it's underway, then the stock starts kind of reacting. People kind of anticipate the market more.
The stock reacted already from where it was. When I took over this company, the stock was trading at 16 cents a share. So it's at $1.60 now. And at $1.60, when you look at earning per share that we're going to have starting September of this year, once we start gearing up into receiving revenues, this company, what does a company like us trades? It should trade at least 7 times earnings. And that's going to be the reality of this company. And where we are right now, and that's just out of one well that it's ready to produce. The moment that we start building up infrastructure and wells, this thing, our goal is to become a 220 million cubic feet of gas a day producer.
Okay. Serafino, let's wrap up. Near-term milestones, let's call it next 60 days. What do you have coming up that investors can keep an eye on in terms of news flow?
it's gonna be Maria Conchita. Maria Conchita, in 2 weeks, you're gonna have the results of our second well that we're reopening and drilling, which is the Istanbul well. That's gonna give us production, and it's gonna increase the reserves of the concession. The other things is the assignment of rights to start drilling. That's the environmental permits to start drilling CNO9. And then everybody's got an eye on us because we are the only other concession left in that area, because outside of Canacol, the rest of the concession all belong to the national oil company besides ours.
Okay. So, Serafino, last question we always ask, on these programs. In your opinion, what are the top 3 reasons for investors to consider GASX today?
Well, I would start with the most important. If you look at the value compared to our peers, the same as we are at 10% what they are in value. And like I said, I urge people to look at a company like Canacol, which is, I think, a very close relative of what we are going to be in the next 12 months. The other reason is we are in the right neighborhood where they pay a premium for natural gas and where there's going to be a shortage of natural gas. So natural gas, if you take the 10-year history of natural gas in Colombia, natural gas has been always between $4.50 and $8 per million BTUs, always. There's always been a premium. And I think that premium is going to stay and it's going to increase. And I think the third most important reason is that we are going to become very soon a neutral, a country that is going to be CO2 neutral, because what we produce with the natural gas that we produce, our emission is almost zero. And all the programs that we're putting together, it is very easy to become CO2 neutral.
Okay. Serafino, on that note, I want to thank you. We look forward to having you back in maybe about a week or so. We're going to go through the whole slideshow, an update, when the wells and everything else. We look forward to following the company, hopefully on this journey to this 100X like your last one.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sorry about the running around and putting battery.
It's a value add. That's part of the value. That's part of, people.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.